Do you live ECU?
R.
Do you bleed purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
It is a Tuesday edition of Hoist the Colors, January 27th. Excited for the hour ahead. We're going to talk about a little bit of everything, including some Pirate baseball in segment 2. Of course, ECU hoping to get back into the hosting picture this year. We'll look at the non-conference schedule, break down what the Pirates realistically roughly need to do to try to put themselves in position going into conference play to have a shot at getting into that mix as they start the year right on that fringe of the top 25, according to some polls, of course, not ranked by D1 Baseball. We'll also talk some college hoops, more so from a national perspective. We'll touch on ECU. Coach Schwartz met with the media this morning. We'll get the latest on that going into tomorrow's bout versus Rice as well. And then here in segment 1, we're going to talk some Pirate football. So excited to do that. And as always, the chat is open on YouTube, Facebook, and X. If you got a question, comment, concern, drop it in the chat. We'll get to it over the course of the next hour. With so many different things going on, we'll be hitting on little different topics here and there, coming up with our own discussion points today to begin this Tuesday show. Let's introduce today's cast. We've got Philip Hilkinen. He's back in the 94.3 The Game studios doing his thing. Philip, you were one of 2 media members to go to Coach Schwartz's presser this morning, so kudos to you. I had to bow out due to a family conflict, but how was it?
It was good. I enjoyed it. I probably enjoyed it a lot more than you enjoyed having to go to gymnastics class this morning. If it was anything else, I wouldn't put your personal business out there. But did you partake in any of the gymnastics, Igo? And if so, is there any video?
I do not partake in the gymnastics. My daughter does all of the gymnastics. She loves jumping into the ball pit. Shout out, free plug for Rosa Gymnastics. They do a great job over there. Slater, my son, did not like gymnastics, so he stopped going after about a few months. But Cannon, my daughter, she loves it. So she loves jumping off the couch at our house and off furniture. So I say, hey, let's take her to gymnastics. She can do that in a little more safe environment. So I just sit there on the side and watch.
Okay.
But it was fun. Kaysen Romelu, you doing any gymnastics lately? He's back for the second straight week. Maybe he'll become a regular once again. He misses the show that much, Kaysen. So we're desperate for guests to help us talk through the slow season. So we keep calling on you. Are you offended by that?
No, man. Hey, man. It just goes to show that how deep your bullpen is. I'm always willing to come out on the mound, give you some innings. I kind of feel like in Danny Beal right now, though, kind of feel like I'm getting thrown out there a little too much, but hey, I'm always ready, always prepared. And I'm not doing any gymnastics. However, though, I was doing some skating yesterday and the day before where I'm at in Mebane, Burlington. We got a whole lot of ice and snow. So I went for a little walk the other day, 2 nights ago, because I was just cooped up here in very, very icy, snowy conditions. So not gymnastics, but I was slipping and sliding my way to the Lowe's Foods that's right by my apartment. So I'm looking forward to getting out today for the first time since Friday.
So Cannon's ready for the Summer Olympics, which are still 2 years out. You've been doing figure skating, and you are ready for the Winter Olympics that start a week from tomorrow.
I'm fully prepared. Be sure to tune in on Peacock. You can see me live in ice skating with little twirlers around my hand. I'm leaving actually on Thursday to head there to prepare.
Kaysen Romelu, check him out in the Winter Olympics. All right, a few notes here before we dive into our football discussion. From the chat, John Moody says, any rumblings on the schedule release date for football? You're probably looking at, John, mid to late February, mid-February at the earliest, late February more than likely. All these other conferences have to set their schedule, and then the American with ESPN is one of the last to finalize some dates and stuff. So it'll be still a little bit. Lane says, when do we get a Bucks on the Pond podcast? Well, Lane, we did kind of a pseudo version of that last Wednesday. You can check out that replay. Also, we will do one either probably this Sunday or next Sunday going into the season opener. And
do a
Juice
Bucks
Whiskey
on the Pond during the Super Bowl? Come on, man.
That is true. That is true.
I'll watch it over the Super Bowl personally.
Yeah, honestly, Seahawks, Patriots, maybe we can pull it off.
Do it during
Still
the
get to
Bad
do
Bunny.
it.
Do it so we don't have to watch Bad Bunny out
Yeah.
there. Do it during halftime.
That is fair because, I mean, who really wants to watch Bad Bunny? Juice Whiskey says, did Sam Danka get another year? The portal situation was odd. My understanding, Juice Whiskey, is that he did not get another year, so that's why he pulled out of the portal. So I'm not expecting him back as of now. All right, today's football discussion in segment 1, gentlemen. The topic / prompt is ECU an American contender on paper given what they did in the portal? Now, of course, there's like a million layers to this. What have other teams done? This is a very admittedly surface level discussion because we don't really know what Memphis's roster looks like. We follow ECU, and we don't even really know what the Pirates roster looks like to some degree, but we at least know more about the Pirates and the rest of the league. We also kind of have a feeling with the coaches that have left the league and also the star players that have left the league that there will be a lot of restarting going around the conference. Just to kind of give a brief overview before we kind of dive into this thing a little deeper. Clearly, North Texas last season had a phenomenal year. They go 7-1. Tulane also went 7-1. They end up beating North Texas in the conference title game. Well, both of those coaches are gone. Eric Morris to Oklahoma State. John Summerall to Florida. Both teams lost their quarterbacks. North Texas basically lost this entire team to Oklahoma State or ECU. So you have that to factor in, although they do have now Chasten Ditta. Navy also was in that 7-1 realm. They did not make the conference title due to tiebreakers, but they lose Blake Horvath, their star quarterback. In the second realm, you had ECU and South Florida at 6-2. Both those teams down their star quarterbacks. Caden Hauser clearly to Illinois. Byron Brown leaving South Florida following their head coach to Auburn. And so they're down their head coach too. You get down to the next layer, Memphis, Army, UTSA, all 4-4 in the league. Memphis lost its head coach, a lot of its players. Ryan Silverfield to Arkansas, they bring in Charles Huff. Army and UTSA have their coaches and their quarterbacks back, so that's worth mentioning. Temple and FAU were kind of in the come-up category. They went 3-5. They bring back their head coaches. Temple will have a new quarterback after the graduation of Evan Simon. And then you get down towards the bottom, Rice, UAB, Tulsa, and Charlotte looking to rebuild. And all of their coaches minus UAB are back. So you look at it on paper, ECU, they have their head coach, but they have a lot of turnover around him, both coordinators. Clearly, quarterback Caden Hauser gone. So I feel like, at least me initially on paper, before we dive into this thing further, like I think you can safely call ECU a contender on paper. It's just how many other contenders are in that category. Maybe a handful. I don't know. How do you see it, Kason? Is that I run through that. We're still very early in the offseason, but like I feel like ECU is definitely a contender. It's just a matter of how many other teams are in that mix too.
100%. But first, I want to say I think ECU is a contender because of one name on paper off rip, and that's head coach Blake Harrell, who I think is, you could argue, one of the best coaches in the American, if not the best right now because of all the departures. And I have so much trust in him and the way he sees men, the way that he sees through their character. And I fully believe that everyone that we've brought in is a good person, is good character. And I'm going to touch on the defensive side. I like how much they brought in from the secondary. I mean, they got 2 6'1" corners coming in, link that corner. We've noticed that's a trend in the Blake Harrell defense. And you bring in the 2 brothers that are linebackers from Memphis. I think that is a good addition. Curious to see where they kind of fit in. You also bring in 2 safeties, if I'm not mistaken, and just so much emphasis on that back end of the defense, which I think is huge. And as we look over the years, there's been so much turnover there. I mean, it's ridiculous, and they still somehow figure it out, that staff. And looking forward to seeing how the new defensive coordinator with Roy Tesh, who's co-DC, which is going to be huge. And then on the offensive side, that's where I'll be real. I do have some question marks on that side. I think they brought in some good receivers, but then again, like going into this season, you had Anthony Smith and Yannick Smith, and it just kind of worked its way out of 1 and 2 there. So I'm curious to see who comes out receiver 1 in this class. And just like last year, we were high on Jaquez Petaway, and just like I think some people are high on Ray Joseph. Like, is he going to be like a Winston Wright, or is he going to be like Petaway, where he kind of gets lost in the shuffle? So on offense, I have more question marks for sure. I feel better at running back than receiver for sure. But I think that And even at quarterback, I mean, we don't even know for sure who's going to be the quarterback, but I think my confidence is in Blake Harrell on that defense and just in Blake Harrell, to be honest with you. And in terms of the other teams, like you said, I'm not very knowledgeable on what they have brought in because the portal is just so crazy and so many teams and players can get lost in the shuffle, lost in the portal. But I think on paper, if they see your team, the East Carolina logo with Blake Harrell right next to that logo, you're automatically a contender in my book.
I think those are fair points. And as you were talking, I was kind of wrapping my brain around if they still did a preseason poll for football, which they didn't last year. We did an unofficial media poll. I'm like, who would be the preseason favorite in the media's eyes? And I don't even know, to be honest. I mean, like, Owen McCown is back at UTSA along with Jeff Traylor, but I don't trust them to go win road games. I'm not going to pick them to win the league. Memphis will have resources. We know South Florida is going to have the most resources, but they have a lot of question marks. First-time head coach. I don't know, man. It seems completely wide open going into the offseason. Philip, your take? Yeah,
I mean, look, as for whether or not East Carolina will be a contender, because I guess that was the original question. Yeah. To Cason's point with Blake, to Cason's point with the decent amount of continuity that they have, especially on the defensive side of the football, you got to trust them. Look, every other team right now who was at the top last year is dealing with head coach turnover. Also, the Emory Williams thing, look, I mean, from what we understand, the offensive coordinator at Miami, who he was the kind of the guy, I guess, that linked the two up, he was high on Emory. He wanted to start him next year. And they said, you know what, we went out and bought Carson Beck. Let's go buy somebody else who started. But this guy has beat Clemson. This guy was one drive away from beating Florida State, and he could have beat him if he doesn't break his arm. So, look, I think this will always be the most poached conference in every sport because its bad players will go down and its good players are the first ones to be grabbed by the top five, or the big four, I should say now. So at the end of the day, when you look at this thing, there's always going to be a lot of turnover. There's always going to be a lot of uncertainties. And the great thing about this league, unlike the ACC, who put out their schedule yesterday, who's scheduling conference games week 1, you don't have that in the American. Sometimes if you play Navy or Army, you might have to play a smidge earlier against those teams due to some of the stuff they have in the back end of the season, playing each other and playing Air Force. But you're going to have time to get through those growing pains. Every team will. So I'm going to give the nod to the team. And we are going to, I guess, kind of go into the other teams here in a second who we think is going to contend. But you've got to give a nod to the team who's got the best proven coach in the conference, and that's East Carolina.
Crazy to say after he's only been a head coach for a year and a half, but I mean, I don't see how you can argue otherwise. I mean, maybe you could say Jeff Traylor, but I don't know. Again, until they win on the road, I just can't take the Roadrunners seriously. All right, Davy Jones says, speaking about on paper, aren't these East Carolina portal acquisitions the best lineup on paper ECU has had? He just watched 25 minutes of Emory's quarterback abilities. He is extremely accurate. All right, so as somebody who follows the portal in depth, this is undoubtedly the best ECU has done in the portal, getting proven talent, especially on the offensive line. So for me, guys, we have 6 years of a sample size of Blake Harrell's defense, and whether or not he's the coordinator or not, it's going to be some semblance of his defense. I trust, after 6 years of seeing what we've seen, I trust the defense to be good. At worst, they're going to be good. And unless they just get devastated by injuries, I think they're going to hit on a lot of their personnel. They're going to hit on scheme. They have a culture on that side of the ball. So now for me, it's just the offense. How does it shake out? You got a first-year coordinator, first-time play caller. He's obviously been around great elite offensive play, elite quarterback play in Jordan Davis, but what I like what they did is they spent big money on proven offensive linemen. So at worst, they will be adequate up front. And I think they can be even as solid as last year, if not a touch better. I think the room has gotten a little bit better overall. Receiver-wise, I think they're deeper. I like the numbers they've added. My question is, have they added a number one receiver? And will that guy emerge? Running back-wise, I think they're just as good as last year, maybe a touch better as far as the ceiling of the room with Ashton Gray coming in. Really like his upside. And then the obvious question is quarterback. I do think tight end is not as good as last year, but I think they'll be okay there, given what they added. And then a lot of it comes down to quarterback. But I'm I'm just going to assume the team is going to be good defensively, and I just don't think with the personnel they've added, case in that like the offense, like there's no way it reverts back to a 2023 season. I think they just added too much talent, and I think the quarterback situation is just so much better than that year. Looking back at it, like you have two pretty good candidates here, and I think they want Emory to probably be the guy given his upside, but at worst you have Mitch Griffiths, who proved to be pretty good at times at Wake Forest and will be pretty good in this offense, I believe.
Yeah, that's a really good comparison you say there, and I would agree that no shade to them too, but I'm taking these two quarterbacks over what we had in 23, and like you touched on with the offensive line, the additions there, the proven additions of offensive line, and I think also even if Emory or Mitch Griffiths cannot be this light the world on fire air raid quarterback, I think the additions at running back and what we have and this O-line will be enough for us to ground and pound if we absolutely need to. But kind of just like you said, like there's no way this offense is going to be as bad as it was in 23. And I have confidence in the receivers. I have confidence in this young coaching staff that's going to figure it out. And also something I want to touch on is like, I'm glad that Jordan took this job, because like if you look at this ECU job, like Baker was here, got here, put his head down, worked, young guy, reached to the next step, got to the next level. And I think that if you're a young offensive coach, this is a great opportunity for you, because Blake is basically giving you the reins to do what you want on offense. And if you are successful and if you put all your chips in the middle of the table and gamble and take risks like Baker did, taking shots, doing the stuff on offense, it can pay off for you. And I think you have the opportunity to do that with the additions that you made. And like you said, there is proven talent that we got in the portal, but there's also a couple guys that are kind of untapped and have that high ceiling like we've gotten guys in the past.
No doubt. It was a good mix, I think, overall. All right, I'm going to put you all on the spot here. Give me, if you had, let's say you had to make a preseason pick today to win the league, who would you pick for the American and football? Again, a lot of turnover. I'm not going to hold this against you come 10, 11 months from now, but just given what we know today, Philip, I'll start with you. Who would you submit as your preseason pick?
South Florida. Look, they invested fully, and they say you can't buy championships, but what did Texas Tech do? If it worked at Texas Tech in the Big 12, it's probably going to work in the American. Look, I don't know a lot about their roster. I'm not going to sit here and act like I do. But the second I saw that their football team will be under fully invested NIL and hit the cap, there's no team in the American that's probably even going to be half. East Carolina's probably going to be the closest, and we're at like, 6, maybe 7 million?
In that range, yeah, probably.
Yeah, and they're going to be at 20. So, yeah, South Florida, sorry.
I mean, look, it's if I was setting the odds in Vegas, they would be the favorite based on that. By the way, the USF schedule next season in conference, they do have to go to Army. They do have to go to East Carolina. They go to FAU and go to UTSA. And they get Memphis and Tulane at home. But they have a tough road schedule at Army, at ECU, at UTSA. So that's not easy.
That's
the other thing, these unbalanced schedules.
Yeah, because like ECU has a lot of their, other than going to Army, all their tough games are at home. FAU, who I think is going to be a lot better. USF, I can't remember who
Temple.
else. But Temple, who's going to continue to be on the rise.
Pirates do have to go to Memphis as well. So at Army, at Memphis, tough games. Yeah, that's an unknown.
Mid.
We'll see what Charles Huff has got. What you got, Kaysen? Who you got for the preseason pick?
Tulane. I know there's been coaching turnover, but if you look at their last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons, the last time they lost more than one game in conference play was the 2021-22 season. And I just think that it's just hard to bet against them, and they've had coach turnover since then. And I just think Tulane's the team to beat personally. I just do. They have some big portal additions this upcoming year. I don't know off the top of my head, but I know I saw a few on Twitter that were like, oh, that's a big addition. So Tulane for me right now on January 27th to 26th, I'm going to have to go Tulane personally.
I want to build off your point, Case, and I'll make it quick. That one season you mentioned they lost more than 2 conference games. Remember, that was the year that Michael Pratt's shoulder was messed up. He played every game, but he should have not been out there. They went 2-10 that year. But if there's a healthy Michael Pratt, that stat you brought up is even larger.
Exactly.
I think both of you guys are making good picks. I would strongly consider ECU. Keep an eye on Army as a dark horse. They get ECU, FAU, South Florida, and Tulane all at home. They do have to go to Memphis, but all those games at home, they get Rice, Temple, Tulsa on the road. So they have a very decent draw, I think. But I'm with Phil. If I had to pick one just off sheer talent and upside, I'm going South Florida. I'm taking the money. It sucks. It shouldn't be that way, but it is. At the end of the day, they had the most money to go buy players. If they don't win the league, then their coaching staff isn't good at all. That they should win the league, realistically. You can't have that much funding and come up short. So there's a lot of pressure on them to win the league. They end up landing Van Buren from LSU and another kid to compete for the starting quarterback job. So even they, with all their money, did not land a slam dunk at quarterback. They've got some talented guys competing for the job, so we'll see what happens. But I think ECU's right there. I think you can make a case for them. I just think there's a little bit too much unknown on offense with the turnover to pick them. But I think they're in that mix, top 3 or 4.
USF's doing it like Steinbrenner did it all those years, and there's a lot of trophies in the Yankees trophy case.
No doubt. But, hey, maybe the Pirates can be the Diamondbacks. And
there we go.
Get a little Luis Gonzalez magic to knock them off. Who's going to be our young Kim as well. All right, we'll get a break in. We'll come back. We'll shift gears. We'll keep the football talk going all offseason, folks. It's not going anywhere. We'll have little segments like that here and there. So we'll keep evaluating that. But always fun to talk some football. We'll get a break in. ECU baseball on the way. We'll tell you what they need to do in the non-conference schedule to have a shot to host this season.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arrgh!
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Welcome back. You got here just in time. This is Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors. Hunters in the chat saying Young Gun Kim was horrible in the World Series. He was, but he was a reason the Diamondbacks got there, okay? That's what I was saying. And they still won it. All right, we're back here on Hoist the Colors. Tuesday, we've got Casey Normale hanging out. We've got Philip Pilkington. Fun discussion, segment 1. Segment 2, we're going to switch gears a little bit. ECU baseball. So here's how I'm kind of looking at this discussion, guys. There's obviously you have all the midweek games, which are important, but I'm mainly talking about the 5 non-conference weekends leading into conference play. We can talk about the midweeks as well, but I ran some numbers, and the topic is, what does ECU need to accomplish in the non-conference portion of the schedule to kind of set itself up for a realistic chance to host? Here are the RPIs last year for all the non-conference weekend opponents, as that is usually what you're greatly weighted on and graded on. Xavier was 42 in the RPI last year. That's your season opening opponent. They were an at-large caliber team, didn't make it. Typically are right on that bubble due to their scheduling. North Carolina in week 2, they were 9. The Keith LeClaire Classic a year ago. Again, this doesn't mean the numbers will translate, but just to give you a rough idea. Rutgers was 86, Troy was 47, Western Carolina 119, so solid competition there for the Classic. Coastal was 2, and the University of Pennsylvania was 170, out of the Ivy League. So probably your weakest non-conference team, but they'll still have a decent RPI. So as you look at those 5 series, I mean, if you win both the North Carolina and Coastal Series, you're in awesome shape. I don't know how realistic that is. Like, if you go 3-3, I think you're in great shape. If you go 2-4, depending on how it looks, you're not even in the worst shape. So how do you kind of break this thing down, Case, in an ideal world, just to say, hey, we did everything we needed to do on the weekends to put ourselves in a position to host with a good conference run?
Well, first off, I'm going to sound like Godwin here, and we're just going to take it one game at a time. I'm just going to say that first, but I think that going into the opening series versus Xavier, I mean, you just have to get the job done. I think you lost the first game of the season last year versus George Mason, if I'm not wrong. That's correct, right? It was George Mason.
I think it was. Yep.
Yes. So
I will double check.
Let's just get that done. And then let's focus on Campbell. At Campbell is a massive one. But I'll touch on North Carolina and Coastal because I'm from Carolina Curveball. So me and Braxton and Reed were doing a lot of conversations about that last night. And just this Carolina pitching staff and Coastal's pitching staff is absolutely unbelievable. These are by far the 2 best teams they're going to play, and going to Coastal Carolina. And Coastal is returning a large pieces of that lineup. Peto's back, Barthol's back, Alexander's back, Sykes is back, and you got Fluky on the mound, who is a projected top 10 first round pick, and he's an absolute monster on the mound. But kind of just like you said, me personally, I see ECU winning one of these series, and me personally, I think the Carolina series, in my opinion, I would rather them win. Because I said on our Curveball show, I had a very hot take. I don't think Coastal Carolina hosts a regional this season. I think that this season, going from the hunting to the hunted, I think it will kind of affect them. I think Schnall is a phenomenal coach. I think he's a phenomenal coach. He's going to have his guys ready, but I just think it's so hard to carry that momentum into a new year, and all the coaches say, oh, we're going to start fresh. Day 1, we're starting at 0. But I really think this year Coastal is going to take a step back. Granted, everyone takes a step back from the runner-up and the national title, of course. But I think winning the UNC series will be more beneficial. And I would love to hear your guys' thoughts of which series would you guys rather win, the UNC series or the Coastal series?
That's a great question, Phil. I'll let you go first.
Carolina. Because Carolina every week is going to line up against an ACC team, half of which are going to be hosts. And if you have a series win over a team like that, it is going to look better than if you have a series win over a team that's going to play the caliber of teams that Coastal Carolina is going to play. Coastal Carolina, I think even last year kind of lucked into a number 2 in the RPI. That's high for them. Regardless of how good the season is, that's high for East Carolina, regardless of how good the season is, because the conferences they're in aren't that good. Yes, they are better some years than others. Last year was a good year for that league, and they've got some other teams. I don't think it's going to be one bid league, but if you can say we beat an ACC team, and I do get all the games are on the road against Coastal, and it's 1-1-1 against Carolina, but still, to say we went out there and beat an ACC team that I think can and probably will win the national championship, that's going to look better. That's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I think Coastal's going to be really good again, but I think North Carolina is just, I mean, they're loaded on the mound. I think they're going to be special on the mound if they're healthy, so they're going to be tough. And I do agree with you guys. Like, if you had to pick a series to win that you know is going to hold up at the end of the year, you probably take North Carolina. I think either one will, but I think North Carolina is the little bit safer bet. And also, like, you have that Friday night game at home. Who knows what the weather will be like, but I imagine it'll be a packed crowd regardless, as long as it's not there's not ice and snow on the ground. And even still, the Pirate fans may show up. But I think it's just going to be a phenomenal crowd. You have a chance to really set the tone for the season. You know, you do have 5 games out of the gate, which will be tough, but I think that'll be your first chance to really make a statement, providing you take care of business. One thing I am interested with Coastal, you look at a guy like Fluky last year. He went from 55 innings in 2024 to 102 innings pitched last year. I'm just curious. Now, he's a big dude. He can probably handle the workload, but that's a huge innings jump. How does he bounce back this year? But I don't know. I mean, to me, here's my question to you, Kaysen. If the Pirates go 1-5 or 2-4 in those games, but handle their business kind of the rest of the year, like, will that be used against them, or is it more of a, hey, kudos to you guys for challenging yourself out of conference. You still won a game. Maybe you didn't win a series. I think that probably eliminates you from being a national seed, but maybe still has you in contention to host if you're still really good.
I think it for sure eliminates you from being a national seed, but I would not say that it eliminates you from being a host because of the rest of the season, because you do have some really good midweeks going in, and you do it's tough. But then again, if you go 1-5, 2-4, then again, you can make the argument you're playing 2 of the best teams in the entire country, 2 teams that have realistic goals of going to Omaha, like should be in Omaha. And like Philip said, either of these teams can and honestly will be playing for a national championship. So is it that big of a deal? Yes and no. I think 2-4 is the worst case scenario. I think 1-5 is not ideal. But I definitely think that if you go 3-3 or better with a series win, I think you're in great shape. And I think that if you somehow win both series, I think you're right there. You are in the driver's seat. Just take care of business the rest of the way, and you are on a path to hosting, if not having a national seed, 100%.
And we've seen ECU stumble in some early season series and they get really hot. Like historically, under Cliff Godwin, they play their better baseball down the stretch. So. And we've seen that rewarded with the national seed. A lot of it just depends on the committee, which we don't know. I guess we do know John Gilbert will be on the committee once again, Philip, so that may help. But, like, it is tough because these series should not be what your entire resume is based upon. But in some cases, for a team like ECU that plays in a weaker league, it does hold more weight than maybe it should.
It does. It's unfortunate. Same thing with Gonzaga in basketball, right? It just is what it is. You can't be upset about it because being upset about it's not going to fix anything. And at the end of the day, yeah, I think if you go 2-4, you still stand a chance, but you're going to have that long win streak again. And the committee has historically valued consistency. That year they started out 0-3, losing to Bryant, I believe it was, right? All
Yes.
3 games. You were still a national seed. Now, to be fair, you won some games. I think they won 2 out of 3 against Carolina the next weekend, so that definitely helped. But the point is, if you can go out there at some point in late April to early May and say we are the most dominant team in America, regardless of who we're playing, you will be rewarded. So now, with that being said, don't put yourself in a hole. Don't dig a hole these first couple weeks. But with that being said, I don't think it is the say-all, end-all. It's close. It's closer than it should be. But you can still find a way, especially with the midweeks, especially with the Campbells, the Dukes, the NC States, the UNC Wilmingtons. You're in the hotbed for baseball. This out-of-conference thing lasts a hell of a lot longer than 5 weeks. There's a lot of good midweeks in there.
So in 2022, they started 1-5, and they did lose that series at UNC, but they won the Sunday game, and then they won. But they had to win 23 in a row or 22 in a row. So I mean, that was a once in a lifetime type deal. So it's just very tough to overcome. But it shows the committee will value being hot down the stretch at times. So there's still a way to get yourself out of it. You just much rather hold your own in those early season non-conference bouts. All right, we will get a break in. When we come back, I do have a question or two in the chat I'll answer, and then we'll talk some college hoops. National perspective, regional perspective, Kaysen and Phillip have been following a lot closer now. We haven't had a legit discussion about what's happened with that as March Madness draws a little bit closer, so we'll discuss that on the other side. This is Hoist the Colors on a Tuesday.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown. At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Podcast of the show.
Segment 3 here, Hoist the Colors. We've talked ECU football. We've talked Pirate baseball. We'll switch gears now, talk some basketball. Again, Pirates will host Rice tomorrow. We'll dive more into that when James Giglio joins us on Wednesday's show. Kind of preview that game, what it means. Also, the women in action tonight against Wichita State, 6 o'clock tip-off. Stay tuned for that as well. We'll react to that tomorrow. All right, before we move on to college hoops with Kason Romelli and Philip Bilkin, Davy Jones did say, baseball-wise, he's asking how strong is the Pirates pitching staff this year. David, they've got plenty of options. I just wrote an article this morning on hoistthecolors.net. Really 8 contenders for the starting rotation, which will only be obviously 3 deep in the weekend, 4 or 5 if you count the midweek games. So they've got options, and you have a frontline guy returning in Ethan Norby, who got paid a pretty penny from everything I understand to stay at ECU. So the question for me is who among those options emerges, and also how does the bullpen shake out? Because I think they've got some guys they recruited there out of the portal as well that pitch well at a lower level. How does that translate to the Division I level? And then how do some returning guys who have the stuff, how do they mature going into year 2 or year 3 at ECU? So I think they have the potential to be very good on the mound, but potential is a scary word at times. All right, let's bring back in Kason and Philip for our NCAA basketball discussion. And now, I'll be honest, guys, I've been pretty out on college hoops, but checking the schedule today, I may have to pull up Peacock for some college basketball tonight. You've got 20-0 Nebraska, number 5 in the country, going to Michigan, 18-1, obviously coached by Dusty May, former FAU coach. So that should be a banger. Michigan State's having a really good season. Last night, Duke absolutely hammered Louisville. You had Arizona get by BYU to stay unbeaten. So we'll start with Kason. What has really stood out to you here lately amongst the college basketball scene?
Well, first of all, I want to touch on what you said about Peacock. You're pulling up Peacock. You also may need to pull up your DraftKings app because Nebraska, undefeated, 20-0, number 5 in the country. Number 5 in the country, has not lost a game. Going to number 3, 18-1 Michigan, is a 11.5-point underdog at Michigan. I've never seen something like that in my entire life, which is absolutely unreal. So I'm not going to swing you either way, but do with that information as you should. I'm going to be honest, I have not been as plugged in as I have in the past, but I have watched a lot of basketball. Watched Arizona BYU last night. Arizona is the clear number 1 team in the country. They have it at every single position. They have a star freshman in Koa Pete, and they have a veteran guard in Jaden Bradley, who is absolutely outstanding. UConn, number 2. Like, again, Hurley's going to get the job done with the guys he has. And after that, it's kind of a little bit of a drop-off to Michigan and Duke, and then Nebraska's sitting right there. But as I said last week about Nebraska, it's a great story, but when they lose to North Dakota State on that 14-3 line, well, the season's gone for a wash.
Hey, that just means Vegas is on your side. If they have them as an 11.5-point dog, they see it as fraudulent as well. Obviously, Philip, you were, I'm sure, watching Duke last night. Any new developments from your vantage point about college hoops lately?
I think it comes down to who is ready to go out there and actually contend with Arizona and with UConn. I think both of those teams right now are pretty solid up and down. I'm not saying that it's 100% going to be the national championship game. I'm not trying to spread that, but it seems like every other team, there's something that you can say that scares you. Who is Duke without Cameron Boozer? Does Michigan have the guard play? Yeah, they out-rebound everybody. Yeah, they can score inside, but if it's a high-flying, fast-paced game, are they good enough? Illinois, kind of the same thing. So Gonzaga, are they going to be battle-tested enough? Because they're finally back after a couple of years, being on those 4 and 5 lines. Like, they're ready to go out there and contend to be a 1 or a 2 seed again. So I don't know, man. It's one of those years where the portal has brought a lot of diversity, which is making it deeper, which is great. But if Arizona is as good as they played last night, I'm not thinking they're going undefeated, but when we get to the tournament, does it just kind of feel like one of those years where it's like, well, it's a battle to see who gets their rear end handed to them? And that's kind of what worries me right now.
Kason, we saw some real heat on Hubert Davis after the West Coast swing. UNC lost to Stanford and Cal. Now they come back, take care of business against Notre Dame, but then they win at Virginia. Kind of the same thing happened with NC State. They lose to Georgia Tech, then they go on the road, beat Clemson and Pitt back-to-back. So, what do you make of those two teams, if anything?
Well, UNC was down 16 in John Paul Jones Arena in Charlottesville. I was watching that game as well as NC State won. And I was like, oh no, you can go ahead and stick a fork in Hubert. He can go ahead and make his way to Pitt Greenville Airport, go ahead, get off the plane, take the pictures, new head coach ECU, but hey, that's for another day. But just what a turnaround win for him, huge win for him and his program, jumped up 6 spots, number 16 in the country. They have Georgia Tech this weekend, 2:00 on HTC Network. Trap game for them. Can definitely lose that one. But with Carolina, Caleb Wilson is the absolute truth. I think this freshman class around the country is unbelievable. It's not talked about enough, to be honest with you. I think this Carolina team can go as far as their front court can take them. So we'll see. And then with NC State, they're the most inconsistent team in the entire country. Darian Williams is a $4 million cheerleader, which is ridiculous. He doesn't play a lot in the second half, last couple games, and they're paying him $4 million just about. So that's not ideal for them. But hey, they have made it work, and I'll give it to Will Wade that he has adjusted to that. He has not said we're paying these guys that have to be on the floor. He's adjusted to it. Quadir Copeland's been a big part for them. Same with Van Nile Lubin's really stepped it up. So it's really interesting to see how each coach kind of deals with that in this portal era. I will give Will Wade his respect in that sense of no matter how much you're getting paid, you're going to pull off the floor if you're not good enough. So I'll give him that. And shout out Hubert Davis, man. The clock slowed down a little bit.
For now. All right, guys, if I asked you to, without looking, tell me who has the highest net ranking in the American, do you think you can name it?
So, no, net goes way too much off of who you've played. So it's Memphis because they played a brutal out-of-conference schedule.
Memphis is 120, UAB is 119. So Memphis is 0-4 quad 1 and 1-5 quad 2. So they played the schedule, they just didn't win any games.
So it's UAB, so Kason was right.
UAB is 119. You have a team at 49. Gentlemen, there is a team that is 49th in the net.
Holy crap.
That is 17-3.
AU?
Nope. The Tulsa Golden Hurricane.
Yeah.
Tulsa. That just goes to show right there. That just goes to show right there.
Tulsa. Like, who saw this coming? Now, I will say Eric Conkle was very good at Louisiana Tech prior to coming to Tulsa, but he had 3 pretty bad years. The second year was decent with the Golden Hurricane. This year, somehow, some way, they've hit. They have hit. They're 17-3. This is 100% a one-bid league. You do have Tulsa 49th in the net.
I was about to say, I don't know. Technically, they went out and lose the conference championship game. They might get it at large. They could send them to Dayton.
They could. But the problem with Tulsa is they have to come to ECU, and they are 100% going to lose that game, and it's going to tank their net. That just feels like something that would happen. ECU like 289 in the net. You have Wednesday night. Charlotte and Temple are both 5-2 in the league. Like, this league is, you got FAU leading the conference technically at 6-2. Tulsa, South Florida, Temple, and Charlotte are all 5-2. Wichita State's 5-3. Memphis is 4-3. North Texas, Tulane 3-4, along with UAB. Rice at 2-5. ECU 1-6. UTSA at 0-8. So this league is just, I don't even know what to make of it.
Don't tar and feather me, Pirate Nation. I think Aaron Fern's a good coach.
He is.
I think last year he assembled a bad roster because he didn't know what he was doing because he had never had to do it before. He inherited an okay roster, had a great season with him, didn't know what the heck he was doing last year, had a bad season, figured it out. Like, everybody was crapping on Charlotte, saying they were going to be at the bottom of the league. Like, I'm sorry, Fern's a good coach.
I mean, he's coached overseas for so long. I just think even watching him coach during the ECU game this year, like he's calling out plays offensively mid-shot clock, and they're executing it and scoring. Like, he just knows what he's doing. He just didn't have any talent last year. Like, this year they have at least some level of talent, and they're able to win. So, Yeah, I agree. Really good coach. Yeah, Tulsa. I mean, I don't know, Casey. What do you make of this? If there's anything to make of it.
Well, I'll go back to what I said. It kind of did some numbers 2 years ago when I said it. Scott Rogers loved it when I said it. This conference is not a bloodbath. It's a bubble bath. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, just Tulsa top of the conference. Good for them, though. Good for Coach Conkle. I remember when he was hired, I was like, oh, this isn't a bad hire. Then he had the horrible years, and then I'm pretty sure he's the one who got Haggerty to Tulsa, right? If I'm not mistaken. So,
Yes.
I mean, there's a see, he has eye for talent, but just like I said, it's kind of sad that we didn't know that. But then again, just kind of goes to show the state of the season. But yeah, it's a bubble bath for sure. Extra bubbles and strawberries.
Extra bubbles and strawberries in the American. Yeah, looking like a one big lead unless, hey, Tulsa keeps on running the table. All right, we will wrap up the show. We got to get a break in. We'll wrap things up after this.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice.
We're live with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Johnny Roger!
Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
All right, we got a few minutes left in the show. Been a fun show. Casey Ramaley, Philip Hogan with us. Casey, I want to get your thoughts on, there was an article written by Gary Parrish, who works for CBS Sports now. Memphis guy basically wrote a column for the student newspaper at Memphis blaming the American for Memphis's issues in basketball. Basically, the league is so weak, their program is falling off as a result. And maybe there is something to it, but I don't know. I know we're not a Penny Hardaway podcast in any form, but I just think it's a lame excuse. Like, win the league and then maybe let's hear some more of that.
Yeah, buddy, you can't win the league, and the reason you're bad is because the American is bad. Okay, Memphis, let's drop you in the Big 12 tomorrow. Do you win a game? Absolutely not. You may go winless in the conference. So this is just an absolutely unreal article. I'm still kind of skimming through it right now. I mean, you just lost to Tulsa 83-66. I mean, okay, you just lost at home to Tulsa. Okay, so let's send you on your way to Houston. Let's send you on your way to BYU. Send you on your way to Arizona. Let's see what happens. This is just absolutely unbelievable, and the things that have come out of Penny Hardaway's mouth is quite funny. I did find it funny when he said it's like playing in an auditorium at UTSA. I actually did find that pretty funny, kind of iconic. He's not wrong. I'll give him that. But you can't be saying that when you're 9-9, 4-3 in the conference that you say is so bad. If it's so bad, Penny, then go win it, buddy. And then kind of just like my argument, like they want to go to the Big 12. They want to join that conference. If Memphis joined the Big 12 at the beginning of the year, Phillip, do they win a game?
No way. I mean, there's probably one team that's just sandbagging at the bottom of the conference right now. Colorado's pretty bad. They come to mind. I'm sure there's somebody else. I mean, by default, they probably run into one.
Everybody runs into one, yeah.
Yeah, but, oh my goodness. Like, they went to Lubbock or to Tucson. Woof.
Yeah, I just found that comical, but it is what it is. Kaysen, appreciate you. We're out of time. Thanks, man, for hanging out.
Yeah. It's good to be back, fellas. See y'all soon once again.
We'll keep getting you on every now and then. Philip, appreciate you as well. We gotta get out of here. We'll be back. Gosh, Wednesday, 12 noon. We will see you then.